Choosing Peace. Chapter 8. Silence Mode and Why It Is a Superpower. How stillness protects everything you are building. Silence is not emptiness. It is the space where you remember who you are when nobody is asking anything of you. Here is what silence mode looks like for me on a good day. I walk in from work, and the first thing I do is change into comfortable clothes. That single act is a signal. It tells my body that the workday is finished, and this time belongs to me now. If the weather is kind, I go outside. Even 15 minutes in the sunshine does something that no amount of scrolling or background television can replicate. I stand in it, sit in it, breathe in it. I let the warmth do what warmth does, and I do not try to be productive while it happens. If I can stay longer, I do. If I cannot, 15 minutes is enough. It always has been. Back inside, I might put on focus music or pull up a stoicism video or listen to affirmations. Not because I have to. Because these things feed something in me that the noise of the day has been quietly starving. They do not drain me. They raise me. That is silence mode. Not the absence of everything. The presence of only what actually helps. It took me a while to stop feeling guilty about needing this. To stop treating my own restoration as something that had to be justified or earned. But I got there. And what I know now is that this time is not selfish. It is essential. It is what makes everything else possible. What silence mode actually is. Silence mode is often misunderstood. People hear the word silence and picture someone sitting completely still in a dark room with nothing happening. That is one version of it. But it is not the only one, and it is not even the most common one. Silence mode simply means time that belongs entirely to you. Time with no demands on it. No one needing something. No performance required. No agenda except your own restoration. For some people that looks like literal quiet. For others it looks like soft music that calms the nervous system. For others it is being outside where the sounds are natural rather than urgent. For others it is reading, creating, listening to something that lifts their thinking rather than drains it. The common thread is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of intention. You are choosing what enters your space during this time. And what you are choosing is yours. Silence mode means the noise that gets in is only the noise you invited. Why your nervous system needs this. Most people spend their entire day in a state of low-level alertness. Notifications, demands, social dynamics to navigate, tasks to manage, other people's emotions to respond to. The nervous system is designed to handle acute stress and then return to rest. But when the stress is constant and low-grade, it never fully gets the signal that it is safe to come down. Over time, that sustained alertness becomes the baseline. You stop noticing how tense you are because tense starts to feel normal. You stop recognizing how depleted you are because depleted has become your default state. Silence mode interrupts that pattern. Even 15 minutes of genuine, intentional stillness sends a message to your nervous system that the threat has passed. That you are safe. That you can come down now. The sunshine does this. The comfortable clothes do this. The focus music and the affirmations and the stoic wisdom do this. They are not indulgences. They are biological necessities dressed up as simple pleasures. Your nervous system is not being dramatic when it craves stillness. It is telling you the truth about what it needs. The stoicism piece and why it matters. I want to spend a moment on something that became an unexpected part of my own silence mode practice because it changed the quality of my thinking in ways I did not anticipate. Stoicism. At its heart, Stoicism is a practical philosophy built around one central idea. There are things within your control and things outside of it. Your energy, your attention, your response, your choices. Those are yours. Everything else, other people's behavior, outcomes you cannot predict, the chaos of the world around you, those are not. When you start feeding your quiet time with ideas like these instead of more noise and more complaint and more content designed to keep you anxious and scrolling, something shifts. Your thinking gets steadier. Your reactions get slower and more deliberate. You start to feel less at the mercy of whatever is happening around you and more anchored to what you actually believe and value. You do not need to become a philosopher. You do not need to read ancient texts. A short video, a single quote, one idea held in your mind while the sunshine warms your face. That is enough to start. What you feed your quiet time with matters as much as the quiet itself. Affirmations and the words you give yourself. The other practice worth naming here is affirmations. And I understand that for some people this word brings up skepticism. It can sound like wishful thinking or empty repetition. But here is what affirmations actually do when used consistently. They begin to replace the internal narrative that has been running on autopilot for years. The one that says you have to earn rest. The one that ties your worth to your output. The one that tells you everyone else's needs come before yours. You did not choose those narratives. They were installed by years of experience, expectation, and environment. Affirmations do not delete them overnight, but repeated consistently, especially during quiet intentional time when your mind is open and receptive, they begin to build an alternative track. Start with something simple and true that you are genuinely working toward. Something like I am allowed to rest. My peace matters. I choose what gets my energy today. I am enough right now without doing anything more. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to someone you are trying to help find their way back to themselves. Because that is exactly what you are doing. Building your personal silence mode ritual. Your silence mode ritual does not need to look like anyone else's. It needs to look like yours. Here is a simple framework for building one that actually sticks. The transition signal. Choose one small action that marks the shift from obligation mode to restoration mode. Changing your clothes. Stepping outside. Making a warm drink. This signal tells your mind and body that the shift has happened and it is safe to come down now. Consistency with this signal makes it more powerful over time. The outside anchor. If at all possible, make outside time a non-negotiable part of your daily silence mode. Even 15 minutes. Natural light, fresh air, and open space do things for your mental state that indoor environments simply cannot match. Rain or shine, cold or warm, a brief moment outside is almost always worth it. The intentional input. Choose what you fill your quiet time with deliberately. Focus music. Affirmations. Stoic wisdom. A book that feeds your mind rather than empties it. A podcast that raises your thinking. Something that puts good things in rather than continuing the drain of the day. The comfort container. Create the physical conditions that tell your body it is safe to rest. Comfortable clothes. A favorite seat. Warmth or coolness depending on what your body prefers. Your space arranged in a way that feels like yours. These small physical cues are more powerful than they seem. The no explanation rule. You do not have to justify your silence mode to anyone. You do not need to explain why you are not available, why you are sitting outside instead of being productive, or why you need time that belongs only to you. I need some time to recharge is a complete sentence. It requires no further defense. What to say when people do not understand? There will be people in your life who do not understand silence mode. People who see you sitting quietly and assume nothing important is happening. People who interpret your withdrawal as coldness or avoidance. People who feel entitled to your attention during the time you have set aside for yourself. You do not need to convert them. You do not need their understanding in order to continue. A simple and honest response is often enough. I am recharging right now. I will be more present with you after I have had some time to myself. Most people who genuinely care about you will accept this once they see that you mean it and that you do come back more available and more genuinely present after you have had it. The ones who cannot accept it are giving you important information about how they view your needs relative to their own. That information is worth having. Your silence mode is not a rejection of others. It is a return to yourself. And you are allowed to make that return as often as you need to. The guilt that fades with practice. Most people feel guilty the first time they truly claim silence mode. And the second time. And sometimes the 10th time. The guilt is old programming trying to stay relevant. It was built in an environment where your rest was deprioritized and your output was the measure of your worth. It does not update itself automatically just because you have decided to live differently. But here is what happens with consistent practice. The guilt gets quieter. Not all at once and not in a straight line. But gradually, as the evidence accumulates that you are actually better, more patient, more present, more capable after you have rested, the old narrative loses its grip. You stop having to argue with the guilt. You just go outside anyway. You just put the comfortable clothes on anyway. You just sit in the sunshine anyway. And slowly that becomes who you are now rather than something you have to justify every time. Give yourself the time it takes. The guilt fades. The peace stays. 15 minutes of sunshine. Comfortable clothes. One affirmation. One idea worth holding. That is not a small thing. That is a person choosing themselves on purpose. Do it today. Do it tomorrow. Do it until it becomes who you are. Coming up in Chapter 9, The Daily Reset, protecting your energy one day at a time.